So, as I talked about in a previous video, Microsoft announced their big showcase event. A lot of us are still waiting on a big Sony event. Nintendo clearly did their little digital showcase or whatever. I think a lot of us are really missing the E3 kind of aura that we would get, and it's really unfortunate that happens the way that it does. But at the same point in time, I'm kind of just looking at this saying, hey, this is very, very weird, the way that this is going about, because there was something in here that I just thought was not expected, I guess. And again, we're just kind of stuck in this weird situation where gamers are kind of left holding the bill a little bit, and it just honestly blows my mind that this is happening. But again, this is something that I feel like everybody should be talking about. We should get into it as quickly as possible, because I want to give my take. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video, of course. Make sure you guys like the video, share it out, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I do daily gaming content, so there is that to look forward to as well. Now, when it kind of comes down to it, I think it's exciting when these companies hold these like showcases and things like that. Really, really cool. But there was something interesting that Microsoft announced. That's kind of crazy, and here's the thing, right? So Microsoft announced their thing, and everybody's already knows, there was this article on Push Square that says, see future PS5 games and Xbox games showcase this June, including The Outer Worlds 2. So the direct immediately following the showcase is Outer Worlds 2, which is a multi-platform game, but this game was originally announced as an Xbox exclusive, and then it was changed up to be day and date multi-platform. Usually the direct following the showcase is something that's Xbox exclusive, and so there you have kind of like this first kind of deal or whatever. And it's weird. I don't know. It's still a weird feeling to me. But that's not the only thing. It's also, Microsoft is not going to be holding a fan fest, right? And I knew that they probably wouldn't. But they said this year's show is digital only. While we will not have a community viewing event for the showcase, we are working on plans for the 10th anniversary of celebration of Xbox Fan Fest. We look forward to sharing more details with you at a later date after the showcase. Can you believe it's been a whole decade since our very first event? Now, you might go, oh, well, why aren't they holding a live show? Why wouldn't they? The logical answer to that, and pretty much the only answer to that, is they know that they would get heckled. They know that they would get booed. And why would they get heckled and booed? Because, they're going to announce stuff that's coming to PlayStation and Switch too. And it's probably going to be significant stuff, and so they're trying to get out in front of that. Can you imagine if they announced Halo as coming to PlayStation, or Gears of War E-Day coming to PlayStation, or stuff that's already been announced as Xbox exclusives coming to PlayStation? Yeah, they would get booed out of the building, and so they're not going to do it. It's hard to be quote unquote a PlayStation or an Xbox fan, because this platform it feels like much like a dying platform at this particular point, and it's realistically one that I feel like us as gamers should really kind of I don't know, how do we get into this? It's just so weird to me. It's just so strange to see the way that things are kind of happening, and the reaction and things like that has just been kind of insane, to say the least. Like I said, it's crazy to see that on PlayStation centric PlayStation-centric sites are running articles saying, hey, watch the Xbox showcase for what's coming to PlayStation. But it's truth, and it's funny because it says Microsoft has confirmed its annual Xbox Game Showcase will take place on June 8th. Which will immediately be followed by a live stream focuses on The Outer Worlds 2, which is already confirmed for PlayStation 5. Of course, given the firm's update focus on multi-platform titles, many of the games shown during the showcase will end up on PlayStation 5. It all begins with our annual Xbox Game Showcase, bringing you a look at upcoming titles from across our first-party studios, in addition to incredible new titles from our third parties across the globe. So again, it's very interesting. Microsoft gaming lead Phil Spencer earlier the year said that future Xbox live streams will announce there and then what consoles its games will be releasing for, so you should expect the PlayStation 5 logo to appear throughout the showcase. Again, calling it an Xbox showcase might be a little bit of a misnomer at this point. Like, why would you even bother and call it that? It just seems like, kind of something that's outdated. I don't look at what's going on now as anything Xbox related. I just like it's buffoonery at this point. You know what I mean? Like, Phil Spencer and company have realistically killed the brand, and for what? And I mentioned this on X. I had mentioned it to Phil. I know, Phil and Sarah and them probably have me muted or whatever, but I was like, I don't see how it's possible for a company that is, like what you guys are doing, a multi-trillion-dollar company, has, all these things going, and, at the same point in time, you can't come up with a better way to sell your product without throwing the fans under the bus. That's unfortunate, because I feel like that's exactly what's happened here, is that we kind of get the short end of the stick. The people that believed in Xbox from the beginning, that stuck with Xbox through years and years of no games. It's really just unfortunate that that's kind of happened the way that it has, and it's something that I feel like probably will never get fixed. It'll probably never get better, and it's just something that that's gonna, I guess, happen sooner or later, and us as fans are kind of left holding the bag. I can imagine, just as a fan, what would happen at this showcase. You have Gears of War E-Day and people are excited for it again, but then there's a PlayStation 5 logo. I mean, we're the ones, right, that believed in Xbox, and we were like, oh yeah, Xbox is gonna make a comeback, and it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, and then we never got that celebratory moment, and that's a real shame, in my opinion, that kind of happened the way that it happened. It's just crazy to believe and see how these things kind of work out. And as Xbox fans, it never really worked out for us. It didn't. You know what I mean? You had this company with all the backing in the world, and they bit off more than they could even chew. And for me, I would rather them not have Activision than to be doing what they're doing right now. It just totally does not make any sense for them to be doing that. It's completely unfortunate, in my opinion. And at the same point in time, I just feel like Xbox fans have every right in the world to be ticked off and to be angry and to be upset. So if you are, I get it. Trust me, I do. I mean, can we realistically just look at this for a second? Can you imagine if this company did a live showcase and they were getting booed on their stream? That would be epically hilarious, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That would be one for the ages, in my opinion. And I think, that's probably what they're most worried about. Is you don't want to have a situation where, where that kind of stuff is happening. And so, again, it really puts them in a, tremendously bad situation. And so that's what we're kind of seeing right now, is sort of the way that this has kind of come about. So I don't know, anything can kind of happen. We'll see. I think it's going to be strange to see the logos and stuff on PlayStation and Switch 2 for games that people identify with, with Xbox. You know what I mean? It would be the same way if you had, PlayStation announcing God of War for Xbox. I mean, that would freak people out. I think we're in the same type of situation. It's, I don't think it's good for the industry. I don't think it's good in general. But, again, it doesn't seem to really matter what I think or what the fans think. It's really kind of all down to, Microsoft and the suits and that kind of stuff. So, unfortunate as it may be. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this, though. I'm very curious how everyone feels about this. Crazy to think you know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up, crap 'em up, crap gamer 'em up, crap gamer out.